Well, welcome back to Evergreen Marketing Era for Women Entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Andria Singletary, podcast strategist for women in business who actually want to get leads and clients from their podcast. Y'all, we have officially hit 300 episodes. This is such a huge moment, a huge milestone as a business owner and a podcast host. And to celebrate, I decided to do a Ask Me Anything podcast edition. So I, reached out to my email list and also posted on Threads asking people to submit questions like if they could ask a podcast strategist anything, what would you ask? And I got some really good questions. I decided to do about 4 of them, and I'm excited to answer them. But before I do that, I just want to take a moment to say thank you. Thank you for being a listener of this podcast. This is not something that I take lightly. There are lots of podcasts out there, and the fact that you choose to listen to my podcast, I really do appreciate that. And if you have been like an OG listener, I'm talking about here from day one, thank you for sticking around and, especially through the pivots and, the awkward stage in the beginning. But thank you so much. You're part of this journey too. You've been able to see me grow as a business owner and podcast host. And honestly, I truly love recording these episodes and hearing from you, how much the podcast has helped you. If you've ever shared this podcast with anyone, I am truly thankful for you. You're a big part of this moment as well, and you should be celebrating too. All right, let's get into these questions. So the first question, which again, they're all really, really good, but I was excited to get this one because I don't think I've really talked about this necessarily on the podcast. But the first question was, what are the trends in podcasting right now that you think will last versus ones that are trash and won't be around long? And I'm going to answer this through the lens of podcasting for your business. This is back to that whole intentionality piece. And if I'm going to talk to you about a trend, I want to talk to you about a trend that's actually relevant to you. So one trend that I'm seeing right now and that I believe will last is more business owners leveraging podcasting for their business. I've really been seeing a shift in the online space about podcasting and more entrepreneurs realizing that their podcast doesn't just have to be a hobby. It doesn't have to just be, this fun creative outlet. It doesn't have to just be this place to yap, but actually using it strategically to grow their businesses. And it makes sense, right? Everyone has been saying that this is the year of, going analog and wanting to lean more into long form content. And so more people are wanting to go deeper in their content. They're wanting to actually go deeper in their marketing. And podcasting is one of the ways that you can realistically do that. And so I'm excited about this. It's something that I talk about a lot on this podcast, in my content in general, but actually seeing this shift happen in the online space is really exciting. And I'm excited to support more business owners with officially making this shift because it can be a little tricky, especially figuring out what actually works with podcasting strategically for your business. But the fact that people are having that mindset shift and viewing it differently, it's lit me up. I'm super excited about this. Now, a trend that I believe won't be around long is this whole idea of a video podcast. And let me explain, because you probably think Andrea, we know you don't like YouTube and all that. It's not that I don't like YouTube. It's just this concept of a quote unquote video podcast. But I remember back in, I think it was either 2023 or 2024, a video marketing strategist told me that video was going to dominate audio only podcasts and that, if you aren't doing video, your podcast is going to fail, yada, yada, yada. And I, of course, ignored her. But video honestly has yet to dominate audio only podcasts. The other thing is that more and more people are sick and tired of people calling YouTube videos a video podcast. And I've been seeing this conversation a lot on threads where people are asking, like, how do you define a podcast? People just saying, like, you know what, I don't like that my favorite podcast is now doing video, because essentially they're just stripping the audio from the video and then publishing it as a podcast episode. And I'll talk about that a little bit more, because I believe that this is also a trend that's going to die. But for many people, and this is myself included, we define a podcast as an audio-only experience. And the whole idea is being able to listen on the go, which you can't necessarily do with video. Now, yes, you could play the video while you're driving and stuff like that, but a lot of times when people do incorporate video, they're going to refer to something they're showing on camera. And if you're not looking at the video, you're going to miss the context and it's going to be weird. But also, kind of talking a little bit about the whole stripping the audio from the video, that's a huge problem for the listening experience. But even more so, the data from last year, so from 2025, show that the majority of people who do listen to podcasts on YouTube only listen to the audio version. So I think this idea of video podcasts will die because they honestly just feel like talk shows. I mean, we're seeing, especially like a lot of the celebrities and the big names in the online space, yeah, they're recording these video podcasts, quote unquote, but it really does just feel like a talk show. And because a lot of times we look at podcasts like being something we can learn from, or even the ones that we do kind of seek out for entertainment. So like the true crime podcast and different things like that, we want that audio only experience. And like I said, I can't speak for everyone, but typically when people are talking about a podcast, they're talking about an audio only podcast. I also feel like, video podcasts have given audio only podcasts a bad rep. We're constantly seeing people saying, stop giving people microphones, take away, people's microphones. When I think what they are referring to are the YouTube channels that are out of pocket with what they share on their platforms. Because a lot of times that's what we're seeing they're referring to, these quote unquote bro marketing or these men having these conversations that are very demeaning to women and different things like that. They usually are a video podcast. And so I think that there's going to be a clearer distinction between the two, that when people are talking about podcasts, it's going to be like, okay, it's an audio only experience. And when people are referring to like video, they're going to be talking about, YouTube. And then, like I already mentioned, I believe this trend of stripping the audio from your YouTube video and publishing it as a audio-only podcast episode is going to die. It's not effective because it's not a good listening experience for audio listeners. If you're referencing something on camera and then going and telling your audio audience, go watch the YouTube video to see what I'm talking about, it really does ruin the moment, because my whole point of listening to your audio-only podcast is that I don't want to look at video. I just want to listen. And so it doesn't translate well. Also, certain topics and just kind of like the overall flow and structure of, audio-only podcasts versus YouTube, it has to be different to be effective. Like, I'm going to link actually Kay Hillman's episode where she shared how, I think for about a month or two, she was doing that, recording her YouTube videos and stripping the audio and publishing it as her audio only podcast, and her downloads, they tanked. Not by a little bit, like significantly dropped, because her listeners weren't feeling it. It wasn't the same experience that they're used to. Even how she titled the episodes, it didn't translate well from YouTube to the podcast listening apps. And this is something I talk to my clients about as well. This is why I encourage them to not make every single episode they do a YouTube video and vice versa, because it doesn't mesh well all the time. You have to really look at what is going to translate well on both platforms, but also too, more than likely, you're going to have to title the episode differently for YouTube versus your audio only podcast. So there's a lot of nuance there. And it's not just as simple as stripping the audio from your video and publishing it as a podcast episode. Like, you will really lose your audience that way, especially if they are avid audio only podcast listeners. They will literally stop listening to your podcast because they don't like the experience. I believe that we are going to go back to calling, I guess, video podcasts just YouTube videos, and podcasts will only refer to audio only podcasts. That's what I believe. That's what I'm hoping will happen, because honestly, it's not the same feel. It's not the same vibe, but also too, people like to consume content differently. And so if people are starting with your audio only podcast and then you start doing YouTube and then you just start stripping the audio from your YouTube videos, you're going to lose your people. So that's my quote unquote predictions for like trends in, podcasting and all of that. Okay, the next question is, what are your plans for future episodes? And I love that somebody asked this. So I will, of course, still be yapping about all things podcasting for your business, but I'm also planning to do more case study episodes, which will most likely be in Q4. There's like so much power in case study episodes, and I want to be more intentional about doing that and just really showcasing like what it's like to work with me, the results my clients are seeing, implementing the strategies that I teach them. Because I can talk to you about it till I'm blue in the face, but the reality is that hearing it from someone else who is actually implementing these things and seeing the results, completely different experience. And so I think especially right now, just like the clients I'm working with and just the breakthroughs they're seeing, the results they're getting and stuff like that, I really want to highlight them and just have them share their experience and everything. So that is something I'm planning to do more of, but it'll be in Q4 after my baby is born and, I'm back from maternity leave and all of that. I'm also dropping a couple of new resources in the coming months. And so the episodes I create will be related to those resources. Something else I want to do is another collab like I did with Kay Hillman back in episode 293. I really love the overall vibe of those episodes. I mean, one, I was chatting with my best friend, so that's a whole vibe there. But I love that panel style of a discussion. So not just someone interviewing me or me interviewing someone else, but us both answering the questions and having a conversation about it and everything like that. I really love that feel of it, and just to the value you as a listener get, from hearing two perspectives and different things like that. So I definitely want to find more people to collaborate with to do those types of episodes with, where, we publish one episode on my podcast and then publish the other episode on their podcast. And then I am going to have a couple of interviews with guest experts here and there. But that's about it. Like, I really love the content I've been creating this year and have been loving just too from what I'm seeing with my metrics. Like, that's telling me that you as a listener, you are enjoying this content. I'm also seeing how the more nuanced topics are calling in even more aligned listeners. So I'm going to continue with this. Like, I feel really good and I'm loving the direction of the podcast. I'm loving the content ideas and different things like that. Plus, like, I'm going to just be real. I love talking about all things podcasting for your business. And I have so much to say on this topic. So yeah, that's what you can expect for future episodes. Okay. Next question is, how do you sell your offers without selling? One of the things I want to say is like, I know people and myself included, has said things like that, that people don't like being sold to. But I don't believe that anymore. I believe that the right people, AKA your buyers, like to be sold to. First, I want to say is you have to shift your mindset around selling. You're a business owner, and the only way you can truly be a business owner is if you sell your offers. If not, you literally just have an expensive hobby. Like, that's bottom line. But the other thing is that selling is truly an act of service. And if you are selling to the people who are actually buyers, they want you to sell to them. For instance, I am someone who invests in getting support, and I love when people sell to me. Now, let me just say that I don't like random people who don't know a thing about me or my business to sell to me because they are always wrong about what they're trying to sell to me. And it's not the solution I want or need. But when it's someone who one is selling something that I actually want or need, but also two, they actually taken the time to get to know me and my business and actually identify like a specific gap that they can support me in, then like, yes, sell to me. But I just like when people sell their offers in general because I'm able to see like what your expertise are, how you actually can support me. And I take note of that for when I'm ready to outsource that specific thing in my business. I already know who to go to. Like, for instance, there's someone who I already know that I want to hire to take over bookkeeping for me. And I've been able to like follow her content. Like, I know what she does. I know how she can support me. And I'm like, yes, when I'm ready to outsource that, you're the person that I'm going to hire. So you need to shift your mindset and really look at that and focus on talking to the people who actually want to buy from you. Like, when you view it that way, you're not going to feel salesy or awkward or anything like that. Like, you're like, okay, I'm talking to the person who actually wants to buy what I have to offer. So when you shift your perspective of selling and look at it as being a way to serve people and get people the help they need, you're not going to feel salesy. The other thing that helps is naturally bringing up your offer in your episodes. And the key to doing that is literally going into each episode already knowing what you're selling. And this is for both paid and free offers. If you are choosing random topics and then trying to slap a call to action on at the end, it's going to feel forced because you're trying to force that call to action to work for the episode. But if you plan your episode by starting with asking yourself, what am I selling in this episode? Then you are already shifting your focus and your mindset. You know what the goal is of the episode before you even outline or record. That is how you naturally sell in your episodes without it feeling forced or uncomfortable. Okay, so this is the last question, and it's about SEO, which I love talking about SEO. But the question is, what are your SEO tools and strategies, and how do you make sure to incorporate them in your conversations? For probably, I want to say like the last year or so, I have used keysearch.co for keyword research. It has been the best keyword research platform, hands down. I mean, one, it's super simple to use and learn, but it's effective. Like, I have had different episode show notes and blog posts rank on the first page of Google. And my podcast ranks for certain keywords in the podcast listening apps. So if you want to check out Key Search, I have linked my affiliate link below, which gives you a 7-day free trial. And this is the platform I recommend to my clients. It's just what I've found to be the most effective and cost effective out there. Then this month, I added in a new SEO platform specifically for podcasts called Pod SEO. Now, I had heard of this platform before, but honestly, I thought it was a scam. But I decided to check it out, and you know what? I am kind of surprised, but it really seems to be that girl. Like, the platform, it focuses specifically on helping your podcast rank on the podcast listening apps. So I just started using it. I'm still kind of getting a feel for it, but so far I really do like it. I've been able to see more of the keywords I'm currently ranking for on the different listening apps, other opportunities for keywords I can potentially rank for, what keyword phrases my ideal listeners are actually searching on the podcast listening apps. So it'll show you like specific keyword phrases that are being searched a lot versus those that aren't, getting a lot of search volume, who my competition is, and more. Like, it's been really cool being able to see all of this data. And so I'm actually planning to introduce it to my clients in the next round of the accelerator, because that way I would have had some time to kind of use it with my own podcast and again, kind of get a feel for the best way to utilize it. And so, yeah, I recommend checking it out. I believe their basic plan, it starts at like $20 per month. But I'll make sure to link that below. So if you want to check it out, you can go ahead and do that. When it comes to actual SEO strategies, I would say the biggest thing is to shift your focus away from trying to rank for, a popular keyword phrase, a keyword phrase that has a lot of, like, has high search volume, and then like keyword phrases that match the language you actually use. So, like that industry language, jargon, and different things like that. And instead, focusing on search intent. You really have to learn your ideal buyers. So, what words and phrases are they using? How do they describe their problem, their wants, their needs, their desires? What questions are they asking that you can actually answer? And more often than not, those are the keyword phrases that have low search volume, which is not a bad thing, but it allows you to actually show up when people are like the people who need your help are searching these keyword phrases. The goal isn't just to rank for keywords with high search volume. Like, that isn't going to get you anywhere if this is not what your people are actively searching on Google or the podcast listening apps. The goal is to be found by the people who are going to hire you, and to do that, you have to rank for the keyword phrases they are actively searching. So, really shifting your mindset. And I'm bringing this up because I see it with my clients, my accelerator clients, where they're trying to rank for keyword phrases that are like popular in their industry. But they're not seeing any results from it. They're not getting leads. They're not seeing clients. And that's because 9 times out of 10, our ideal clients aren't using the same language we're using. Like, yes, even if you do serve business owners, they're not an expert in your area of expertise. So they're not using the language that you are using. Like, for instance, with me, I see a lot of times with my ideal clients, they are asking questions like, why am I not getting clients from my podcast? My podcast isn't working for me. My podcast isn't doing anything for my business. That's how they're describing it, where I, like, talking about it from an industry perspective, may describe it differently. So you just want to be mindful of that when it comes to doing keyword research and deciding on what keywords you're going to use. Then, as far as how to incorporate the keyword phrases in your conversation, so I think this question is more so asking like how to naturally say them in your episode. And how I do this is by doing keyword research and deciding on my keyword phrase before I start recording. I see this a lot, especially like when new clients come to work with me. And 9 times out of 10, they're doing the keyword research after they have planned and recorded the episode. But it's not the best way to do it, because all you're really doing is trying to force the keyword phrase to fit your episode topic, which will make it harder to incorporate. But also, too, because you've already recorded the episode, the keyword phrase it's not going to naturally fit the episode. So you want to do your keyword research first. That way you go into the episode knowing what the keyword phrase is. And when you outline your episode, you can, make note of where you can actually incorporate it, where you can say it and different things like that. And it'll flow so much better. So that is it for, episode 300. Ask Me Anything Podcasting for Your Business edition. I really enjoyed answering these questions, and I hope my answers were helpful for you. If you would like to check out keysearch.co or Pod SEO, I have linked both of those below. If you also want to listen to Kay Hillman's episode on what happened when she had started publishing her YouTube videos, stripping the audio and publishing them to her audio-only podcast, how that turned out, I will also link that below. And then lastly, too, the waitlist is open for the next round of the accelerator. And so if you want to be the first to know when the doors reopen, as well as get access to exclusive bonuses, the link to join the waitlist is below. I did have someone reach out sharing that the waitlist form wasn't loading for them. So I have fixed that if you were having that issue as well. But if you find that you're still having issues with getting on the waitlist, just send me a DM or email me and I will add you manually to the waitlist. All right, I'll catch you in the next episode.